And hello, Hearts of Oak. Thanks so much for joining us once again. And it's been a while to have Matt Hoy with us, and I caught up with him about 6 weeks ago, I think. And I thought, goodness, I need to get Matt on. And he's doing all different stuff all over the place. And this was the first available slot in his schedule. So, Matt, thanks so much for giving us your time today.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. But,
Always good.
it's been a while, but yeah, here we are. God. But that's the thing. It's just head. I just feel like I'm constantly got my head in the wind. It's just
So much happening. And always good to chat with you. It makes sometimes you people on it makes it easy and you don't really have to think much because it's just a fun conversation and the world get to have a little look in on that. So that's basically, but there a lot to talk about. Obviously, follow at Matt Hoy Official is the Twitter feed. So make sure and you're following Matt. I know he's been on numerous times, so I'm sure you've all been watching. Maybe the War and Posse Stateside, maybe have not. So make sure and follow Matt for his insights from the music industry, from the work he's doing, pushing back on what's happening with local councils and enforcement of, and we'll touch on all of that. The whole common law thing that I haven't fully got my head round, but we'll engage in all of that. But I think first, let's go to Birmingham, the second biggest city in the UK. Doesn't look like the UK, but this is some of the fun they've been having. Here's a short video clip, and then I'll bring up the story. Now, Matt, tell us a little bit about what's been happening in Birmingham. Some kind of strike. Doesn't look very good.
it's no, it's absolutely disgusting, is what it is at the minute. We can sit here and laugh, but literally that video you just played. When I leave my house and drive around the streets of Birmingham or walk it, that is genuinely what it looks like at the moment. And there seems no point of the ending, this situation. But it's all over the fact that Birmingham City Council have chosen to take 20% of the binman's wages per month, which sums out and works out to about £600 per person in their wages. So the binmen are not actually on strike for wanting more money, wanting a wage increase. They're actually out there campaigning for their normal wage to go back to normal. Um, and the councils are not moving; they're not budging. Um, and as we've spoken about before, Peter, with councils, it's like that. You always have the councillors that are sat at the top of the tree, accepting pay rises left, right, and centre. But when you've got a crisis like this that's going on in Birmingham, and they're more prepared to invest money into an area in Birmingham called Druin Teeth to make it eco-friendly, or to basically, it's like there's like small little, what they do is they put small little recreational parks or gardens in and around it, and they invest thousands into these little places. So one second they've got no money and they're in debt, and then the second they're funding parks and cities and areas in and around Birmingham. Not to mention the fact that there's thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants in hotels stashed up in and around Birmingham. The other day, one of the councillors was talking about that they're fitting electric car charge points in and around the city. All this is going on while that video that you've just watched, that's how Birmingham looks. So all that's going on while Birmingham sits in its own, I won't say SHIT, but there you go, and that's what it's like. And the videos, I mean, they do make me laugh. There's rats the size of dogs and cats. I mean, there isn't. It's just ridiculous. I mean,
Let
the animal, but that's what it does attract. Rats are always going to be a thing in big cities. So when, even if it's just 2 or 3 days left out longer than it should be, you're going to get an influx of more rodents. So this is where we're at now, and it's really, really unhygienic. And these people still don't care, and they're doing nothing about it. Nothing. I mean, you take this alone. My house now, I have two wheelie bins full to the max outside my property, and about 15 to 20 bags that still haven't been collected. That's it, and that's per house in where I live in a small grove, and that's per house. So it's actually it's shameful. It really is.
Let me bring up that comment you made about um, just get the bins gone. Fed up, Birmingham residents say cat-sized rats are revolting rubbish is new normal. Locals see no end to weeks-long dispute. Fork out hundreds of pounds for private rubbish removal. 17,000 tons of waste remains collected, and a major incident is declared. And I'll let me grab my cat, and this is what a cat-sized rat looks
I
like.
just that
There there you go. That is that, and this is a kitten. So I wouldn't like something this size, actually, a rat this size. Yeah, just putting it up for illustration's sake.
but that's yeah, that's more of a small leopard that um but no, I mean this is I mean, it's like when you've said certain people are going out and paying for private companies to come and remove their waste. People are already paying hundreds of pounds in council tax for this, which is one of an amalgamation of services. Um, and they're not getting that service. So why? I mean, this is my way of looking at it. Why would I then go and pay on top of that for a private company to come and remove the waste? And especially when you're sitting there talking about what we've just spoken about, improvement of social areas, local areas, and then improvement and putting car electric charge points in. There's so many things. I wrote a list and I can't find it now, but there's so many things in the last week Birmingham City Council have listed that they're doing to improve the city, but none of them are actually improving the infrastructure and helping the people of Birmingham. It's all to do with fanciful shit, basically, that people are never going to use. You're going to put an electric car charge point in, but then that's going to get vandalized or it's never going to get used and it's just going to get left abandoned and then it'll break. So what was the point in putting that in?
Well,
Like
maybe they won't find the charging point underneath all the bags of garbage.
this is it, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's only we've been warned that the weather's going to get warmer within the next week or so as well. So that's going to add to, we're going to have flies, there's going to be rats, the smell will be unbelievable. So, I mean, where do you go from there? What are they going to do? Each day there's a message going, we're trying to deal with this the best way we can. And there was a delay in getting such and such trucks out today. I don't see any trucks and I don't see any resolve of this situation whatsoever.
And this, of course, is local council the failure. We'll move on to something else, but I'm sure Matt would probably get fined for having extra bags on top of his wheelie bin, despite the fact that no one's been there picking up because it's always the public's fault. And actually, you touched on with huge rises in council tax, which is the tax that we pay here in England for actually different services. So rubbish services, and I don't know what other services actually, but a lot of them have gone from weekly to fortnightly, and a lot of those have gone up by legally they're like the 5 or 10%, and across the country we're seeing that huge increase in taxes for, well, looking at that video, it looks for very little service.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like you've said, it's like, I mean, nobody is ever certain as to what the services are that the council are supposed to be providing or as to where the money you pay in each month, which is in some situations, people are paying up to nearly £200 a month for this service. So where's it actually going? When we know it may be going to the police force, but the police force really as a corporation are not really there to serve us at the moment. We know that it's going to finance illegal immigrants in countless 3 to 4 star hotels in and around Birmingham and the West Midlands. It may be charging the bin men, but if it's going towards the service for waste disposal, why are then taking away 20% of the bin men's wages and forcing them to go on strike? It's not like these men are asking for a wage increase. They know they're on a good wage, but to take away 20% of a man's earnings or woman, sorry, as well, is that's nearly £600 out of his wages per month. That's, when you're used to a certain lifestyle, to take £600 of somebody's money is dreadful, and that's a serious lifestyle change. That you've got to adapt to that. There's so many things within Birmingham where the services are just failing diabolically. Just everything is a flaw, and all the Birmingham City Council seem to do is try and impress people with, this is for climate change, for net zero, which is a political agenda anyway. We're going to change Druids Heath, which is an area in Birmingham which is downtrodden at the minute, but we're going to rejuvenate it. It's going to cost millions. So if it's costing millions, why can't they just give the binmen what they deserve? Instead of letting people, the whole of the population of Birmingham sit in dirt. And I mean, the health risks of this are abhorrent, to be fair with you. The longer it goes on for, the worse it's going to get,
And it shows the absolute collapse of our local authorities, the local government side. Nothing seems to be working in any shape or form. They could work actually in previous years, but they don't seem to be able to do it any longer. But let me move on to a video of an enforcement officer coming. Let me play this, just 1.5 minute, and then Matt, I know this fits into a lot of work you've been doing, so let's play this clip.
Would I?
I think you should look up on the law.
Okay.
But yeah. Thank you for your time, though. Thank you. I'd like you to leave my property. No, I don't want it.
I'll put it for you later.
You don't need to. You just need to get off. But just pop it on the floor.
I'm instructed to give you this.
You can pop it on the floor. That's fine.
No, I'll put it for you later. Box. It might blow away. It's windy.
I'd like you to get out my gate, please. There's a liability of notice on my door.
I don't need to.
Please leave my property.
I don't need to.
Please leave my
property. I'm exempt from trespass.
You are not exempt.
I'm afraid
nobody is exempt. This is a civil matter, and you do not need to be at my property.
No problem at all.
So I'm going to post this all over the internet with my 25,000 followers and your name. Go on then.
Well, I'd rather you didn't do that.
Albert, in case. Well, I will be. Because I've just told you, I have got
why?
a civil matter in the court.
Why
Jacob's
should you put my
Nova.
face all over?
Because you've turned up to my property and you don't have the right to come in.
But I believe I do. The same as you believe I don't. I believe
That's
I
fine.
do.
So now I'm asking you to leave.
I need to put
Albert,
it through your letterbox or hand it to you. It's up to you.
It's in the letterbox.
That's fine.
It's in the letterbox, sir.
Well, you just told me I couldn't do that.
Go on then.
Well, I'll just put.
So I'd like you to get it. Well, I just asked you to do that. Could you get off my property, please?
Good day.
You have a great day. What are you taking a picture of my property for? You don't have the right to go take photos of my house or my cars or the properties around. You don't know whose car these aren't even my vehicles. You're just an idiot.
On a road.
You're just an idiot. Please don't do that. Please don't post. And she got 25,000 followers. That's been seen a million times on her post. What are your thoughts? I saw the video, and this is me happen to all different people. He seemed to think he was exempt and could actually come onto her property without her say so. This has been something you've been looking into. Fill us in a little bit on this.
I mean, obviously, it goes really deep with all this, but I will kind of scant over the top, which is fine for people to understand. These law enforcement officers don't have any lawful access to your property whatsoever. What they seem to do is, like that guy just in the video, they always send round they're like the 1980s bouncers on the front door of the pub, and none of them really seem to know the job that they're carrying out. They must have like very basic training, and I think the main part of the training is intimidation, because everything you kind of try to throw back at them, which is lawful if you've done your research, they just go, yes I do, no I can't, yes I am. They never really engage in conversation with you about the situation, because they're just there to get a result, to get the money, or do whatever they've got to do, drop a letter off, blah, blah, blah. Now, the thing is with all of this, with Birmingham City Council and council tax is unlawful and it's not mandatory. Council tax is not mandatory at all. So what these enforcement companies do, they buy off the debt. So Birmingham City Council have tried so many times to get the debt paid. So that's when they spill it out to all these law enforcement officers. And then you just get videos like this of them turning up countless properties, trying to force or barge or bully their way in, dependent on what the person in the property is like. If it's a young woman on her own with a baby and she can't, that's perfect for them because they'll take advantage of that situation because she'll be panicking, she'll be scared. If it's an old person, the same thing. If it's somebody like me or like yourself, Peter, who knows the law, who can stand their ground and challenge them on whatever they're trying to do, it's a different story then. I mean, I had one the other day, literally just pull up in his car with an envelope. He more or less threw it at the house and wheels spun off in the car because they know who they're dealing with. Do you know what I mean? And as long as you film them as well, and this is what I will stipulate with most people if they're watching this, if you can film them when they come, just so people are aware and witness how thick they are, basically. Because like I've said, I mean, I'm going to read out a couple of things like regarding the council tax. The Local Government Finance Act of 1992 evidences no mandatory obligation to make payments towards council tax. The council is under a legal obligation to provide proof and evidence and are under an obligation to comply with said legislation, and they can't. They can't. I have been asking for a liability order with my name on it from Birmingham City Council for the last 3 years, and they haven't sent it yet. 3 years. So when you get these clowns turning up at your door, all you've got to ask for is, can you show me a copy of the liability order with my name on, saying that I have to pay council tax, and they cannot do it. Most of the time they'll turn up and go, well, we need to gain entry. We've got a warrant to gain entry. They haven't. They've got an electronic iPad with a warrant picture on it. Nobody can gain access to your property unless it's actually a written documentation on paper with a wet signature from a judge, which they will never get because enforcement agencies are not lawful. There's so many areas that I can go into with all of this. It just blows me away. And the thing is with Birmingham City Council as well, to move on a little bit as well, is they're still trading as Birmingham City Council. They actually declared themselves bankrupt in September of 2023 and are still trading. So that within itself is illegal. So if you get any, I mean, obviously this is just for people from Birmingham, but if you get any enforcement agencies coming to your door representing Birmingham City Council, they're acting unlawfully as well because they're complicit with working with an illegal company. So yeah, it's just, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, the reason I stopped paying council tax is because of the 5G, because of the LED street lighting, because seriously dangerous levels of radiation that have been emitted across the city that people are completely unaware of. And I mean, I'm talking shameful levels. I mean, if people actually knew the detriment to their health that this is causing across the city, they wouldn't believe it. So for me, that is the reason I stopped paying council tax, because Birmingham City Council are acting as a terrorist organisation. And as everybody will know or don't know, but the fact, if you fund a terrorist organisation, you are actually breaking the law yourself. So I'm not going to break the law by funding this organisation. And it just states in some of the paperwork that I have here, Section 17 of the Terrorism Act of 2000 states, a person commits an offence if he enters into an arrangement as a result of which money is made available to another, and he knows or has reasonable cause to suspect that it will or may be used for purposes of terrorism. So there you go. There's the first one. Section 52 of the International Criminal Court Act of 2001 stipulates it is an offence against the law of England and Wales for a person to engage in conduct ancillary genocide, a crime against humanity, or a war crime. This is what those are. They are killing people and making people seriously ill via extreme levels of radiation throughout the city from 5G masts that are everywhere. They're outside pubs, recreational areas, parks, they're outside schools, they're outside nurseries. And, you know, the LED street lighting, I mean, you probably noticed it yourself, Peter, that the street lighting is just getting really bright over the last couple of years. Headlights in cars are like, they're on full beams all the time. It's like, it's blinding. These are causing eye cancer. You know, they're actually monitoring systems as well, the LED street lights, because if you've got anything within your property that's got the attachment of the word smart with it, like a smartphone or a smart meter, these can link into your property. So basically, you've got Big Brother there as well. Big Brother monitoring your daily routine, your daily actions, how much energy you're using, how much water you used, how much gas you used, how much electric you're using, and correlating those times as to when you're actually in your property, so they know when you're in, when you're out. They have a gauge of a pattern of your lifestyle. I didn't ask for that. I don't suppose many people ask for that, to be monitored by Big Brother and watched all the time. So it's all a little bit cloak and dagger at the minute, and I'm trying to expose it as much as possible. But that woman was within her rights, and she exactly said there was she was bang on the money, you know. And they don't like it, you know, because when she said, you know, I've got 25,000 followers and I'm going to post you all that, he said, well, I don't want you to do that. Of course it doesn't, you know, because it exposes all of them, Fred. But you know, fraudulent.
Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. But no. Let me because people can on your X feed, one of your recent interviews with Liam Galvin, and you go into some of that, and I encourage people to go and delve into that. It's a short, 25-minute interview, but you can go and understand a little bit more about this. But let's move on to climate change, to net zero, all of this, and this is for the Warren posse who've been waiting patiently for a US-esque story. Let's bring this up, and this is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, talking about legislation that's passing through at the moment. So take a look at this, and then we'll touch on another story on the green agenda.
Senator Ileana Garcia has legislation in the Florida Senate to ban geoengineering and weather modification in the state of Florida. I support the legislation. However, the Florida House of Representatives has gutted Senator Garcia's legislation, and they would actually codify the practice of geoengineering and weather modification. People got a lot of kooky ideas that they can get in and put things in the atmosphere to block the sun and save us from climate change. We're not playing that game in Florida. I support what Senator Garcia is doing, and I hope that people will tell the House of Representatives in Florida, do not.
No, I love Ron DeSantis, and this is a phenomenal subject, one that's full-on conspiracy, and now seems to be factual with what a lot of people are putting out. That the chemicals are released to affect whether it's how prevalent it is or not. That's also part of that conversation. But the first major politician to say we need to do something about this.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the fact that it's, you know, it's there in Florida, but the fact that it's a global situation as well. And like you and I and many other our friends as well have been campaigning about this for years and trying to bring it to the forefront and highlight the situation. But it was the one supposedly conspiracy story that always kind of, it got pushed to the back because there was always those people that just said, oh, they're just contrails. Don't you understand that when a plane gets to a certain height and blah, 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 40,000, it produces crystals with the hot and the cold air, blah. These were not contrails. It was clear to see that these were lining the sky. They were like noughts and crosses throughout the sky. And not only that, it's like certain mornings as well, you'd go out and you'd go to your car and you'd see what particles or whatever they were spraying the day before, literally on the car, and it was always just sand from the Sahara's blown over. It's really not. But going back to Ron DeSantis, yeah, this is it's a big step, it's a big move, and it's a bold move as well. And it always tends to come. I mean, he's got form for being that person anyway, you know. But I think, like anything, it's a bit of a gross phrase, but it's like when America farts, Britain starts to smell it sooner or later, and then change happens within the UK. So I think it's amazing what he's doing, because it really does need to be addressed. We really need to know what it was or what it is that they're putting into these aerosols that the planes are pumping out, because there is talk that it is linked to a lot of things, linked to the vaccine, linked to all the radiation that's been emitted as well. Because since they've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years, I don't think I've seen the sun clearly like I used to see it. I mean, I dread to think what the population of the world has been breathing in for the last 3 years. I really do.
No, I agree. And I've seen, interesting, Naomi Wolf talk about this. And this is we talked before we went live about things that you kind of follow and things that you don't, because we are bombarded with so much information. This is something that I haven't delved into so much, but it's interesting as drip the information comes out, and really interesting that a politician, the level of DeSantis actually highlights this. And I think the Trump administration will also be focused on this, certainly not just on the net zero side, but actually on the active changing, and I'm sure RFK Jr. Will have a part to play in that. But let me pull on to the UK. And this is our wonderful dear leader, Sir Keir Starmer, that we're stuck with for the next 4 years. And this is Labour set to align Britain with EU net zero laws, from the Telegraph over the weekend. Governments want to rejoin bloc's carbon market, meaning accepting decisions from a foreign court and pressure to mirror Brussels policies. This is the opposite to what Brexit was about getting our freedom back. But I guess when you give the steering wheel to someone like Sir Keir Starmer, then you're not going to be really driven anywhere of note. And that's the problem, that he's in charge, he's in control. But yeah, jumping all back into this net zero laws, and once again, the EU will dictate to us what we do.
Yeah, I mean, but once again, it begs the question: did we ever leave? It's not really a subject I'm up on, really. What I will say is, it's like a big boy's money. The whole thing, the net zero, it's an agenda. It's a political agenda. It's one that, ironically, all the councils within this country are following. So if you research net zero and you don't agree with it, just you ask your local council as to why they are petitioning it. So it's awkward. I think we all know Starmer as well. Sir Starmer is part of the WEF. He's one of the puppets. He's just there doing what he's basically told to do, pushing what he's told to push. I think detracting myself away from it, extracting myself from it, it's really hard. It's like all unfolding for them at the moment. So for me, there's just the fear levels that they're trying to implement on people at the minute are catastrophic. The brainwashing that they're trying to last minute get in there and try and change things to try and scare people into, we're all going to die. This is all. People have seriously just got to read between the lines and be cool, man. You know, I mean, if ever I could, paraphrase somebody from the A-Team, he's Mr. T, and just be cool. It's like nothing could ever be that bad. You know what I mean? I don't know. I tried to anything to do with any subject matter with Starmer's name attached to it. It's all bullshit anyway. You know, I've never known a man in history, in political history, lie and turn about face as many times as that man has. You know,
Oh, completely. But it seems to be that Trump is the only one who is saying we're going to pull out of agreements because they don't benefit our country, and then we have all these little pygmies in Europe that just want to jump in and accept all this control, and this will be control from the European Court of Justice. But just actually, let's destroy our businesses even more, and put more and more regulation, and the only person that seems to be speaking common sense worldwide is Trump, that says, actually, we're going to cut regulation, we're going to remove from these agreements, and we're going to let our nation, our economy, our industries grow. Where Europe just is determined to destroy industrially the whole of Europe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But this is the thing. I don't understand why. I don't understand the benefits as to. I understand Trump in every sense of the word, where he literally is. Yeah, MAGA. Let's make America great again. I'm sorry. The last 10 years, America has just gone down such a downward hill slope. He's stopped it, and he's pulling it back, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring back America. The rest of the world just seems they're imploring themselves into just destroying every single bit of community, and not just community, everything that their country was proud of. And like, if you went to Italy, the culture within Italy, or Spain, or what England used to be proud of, and what it represented, it's like they're trying to remove people's culture and what they stand for, to nothing. And I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And there's a lot of people out there that are on our side of the fence as well, Peter, that are accusing Trump as well of being a shill, and it's all a plan. And so I think what you have to do is be steadfast within your own beliefs, and just forge for those and try and make your world a better place, and then move on to bigger things if possible.
I agree, and I'm curious of the attacks on Trump, because I think we are in a better position with him than we would be without him. And you need to go with the wins you have, and no one is perfect, but you accept the good things that come. And I don't understand the huge criticism. We'll see what we get, especially on the jabs. mRNA jabs still being rolled out, but RFK seems to be very adamant to push back that, and has been given that role, and Jay Bhattacharya, head of the NIH, and there's so many good figures. So let's kind of go with the positivity.
Well, I think no, I think you're bang on the money, and I mean, I'm with you. I'm with Trump. I follow him. I think he's amazing. But what I will say is, all the last 5 years leading up to Trump being inaugurated, it's like always had that, oh, it's going to be great when this story comes out, or when that becomes revealed, and blah, blah, blah. As soon as he came into power in January, it was like somebody had a big red button that just went bump and pressed it. And the rest of the world just went manic. They were like lemmings jumping off a cliff. Oh, shit, it's happening. And that's what it feels like. So I don't personally think he is a shill, because if he's got that much power to make the world kind of implode on itself a bit, and I'm sure you'll agree, it's like everything has gone bonkers. Everything, the music industry, entertainment industries, politics has gone bonkers. Councils have gone bonkers. Governments have gone bonkers. Countries within themselves, the way they communicate, wars, but it's just all gone tits. And I think, I don't know. I think it's a good thing, because it's the first time for me that I've actually sat back and gone, thank God, a little bit of validation has been thrown my way, and the truth is coming out. So if the truth is coming out, and even if it is a bad thing, I think at least we can grasp onto something to try and forge in a better direction than we have previously over the past decades.
100%. Okay, I've got 4 stories. Let's maybe do just a couple of minutes on each, because I want to cover them all. This is UK story, and the headline, following on from something happened just 2 days before. J.K. Rowling says suspension of toddler from nursery for transphobia or homophobia is totalitarian insanity. The child, aged either 3 or 4, was suspended from a state school for abuse against sexual orientation and gender ideology. And there is J.K. Rowling's post saying this is totalitarian insanity. If you think small children should be punished for being able to recognize sex, you're a very dangerous zealot, who should be nowhere near kids. And it's interesting, this whole, in one way you're going to be accepting of other people, but then the other side is actually forcing a sexualized agenda on children in a nursery. And I don't think a 3 or 4 year old, I don't think they're in a place to be able to talk about 100 different genders or all of that. That is not the place, and yet it's been imposed on children in schools.
I have to say, Peter, what is it they used to say in the old days? What a load of bollocks. Seriously, I mean, the thing is, the fact that we're talking about a 3 to 4 year old child, 3 to 4 year old children shouldn't even be entertaining the fact of transphobia or homophobia. They're babies. They should know anything. They should be playing with plastic toys on in the garden, digging holes, playing in dirt, digging in mud, laughing and joking. That's what children of that age should be doing. I would love to know how a child could offend another child by being either homophobic or trans. I would love to know what the actual conversation was for it to actually happen. And for the person who actually suspended them, I would love to meet them as well and have them explain the whole situation and how they think a 3 to 4 year old child. I mean, that 3 to 4 year old child probably doesn't even know he's been suspended. That's the whole irony of it. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ludicrous, and I've got no time for this bullshit. I'm done with it. Anything J.K. Rowling puts out there, I'm behind. I'm championing because she's a legend. Because it's just when it starts infringing on children and children's ideology and the way they're growing up, and it's children know nothing of this. They're always influenced by somebody and their surroundings, by parents or whatever. So whoever's doing that to a 3 to 4 year old child, those are the people that need to be looked at, not the children.
Yeah, and we need to relook at our education system, and just for clarity, when Matt says a load of bollocks, those could be male or female bollocks. So just putting that out, just in case there's any confusion at all.
Yes, we don't want to discriminate.
No, don't discriminate against the female variety. So let's move on to this whole trade war, and this was an interesting part of this that Trump was putting on trade tariffs. But here was a story in the Telegraph over the weekend, and Trump warned UK no free trade without free speech. Starmer hopes of avoiding tariffs may hinge on case of pro-life activist arrested for peaceful protest. And it says the verdict on the case is due Friday. So after we record this, the day before we go live, the verdict may come out. And this kind of fits into the whole battle that X have faced with the EU, the restrictions on, because the European Union hit Elon Musk as much as they hit Trump. It's Musk derangement syndrome as much as Trump derangement syndrome. But it's interesting how the US State Department, they were kind of connecting free trade with free speech, which is really interesting. And I don't know how the UK government are going to respond to this. But what are your thoughts? Because this is two issues into one, really.
It is, but it's also, I mean, I think this is where we've come to in our lives, you know what I mean, that we're talking about a country that I've grown up in, that fought in the wars for diplomacy, for the respect and the right to say whatever we want to say, because we've earned that, and I think Trump is well within his rights to say that. I think it's absolute. We're not a communist country, for the fact, if you break it down, you just say, I think Keir Starmer's a dickhead. And you write that on a social platform, and you got the police knocking at your door. And they got nothing better to do with the time. There are no real crimes out there for him to be solving. It's absolutely ludicrous. And Starmer is trying to push us back into the whole EU thing regarding trade. But Trump, it's like we've said, he's exposing everything. I think more than everything, and they hate it. They hate it. And Starmer's really not going in the right direction with Trump either, even down to the Ukrainian war and everything. He's kind of pushing the grill constantly with Trump, and he's going to get a slap. I think one of these days. It's if you can put it into our kind of terms, he's going to get a bit of a slap one of the. It's brewing. Do you know what I mean? It's like poking the bear, and he really isn't in a position to do that whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, seriously though, the level of freedom of speech that is happening in the UK at the minute, I think is disgusting. I really do think it's disgusting. We are turning into a communist state, and we used to laugh and joke about it 3 or 4 years ago because of certain things that were blocked on social media. But for police to be turning up at people's houses, arresting people for a post, that's ludicrous.
I'm kind of, when you say he may get slap, I'm kind of seeing a Monty Python scene at a press conference with Trump with a fish just slapping Stormer across the face. We can wish, we can dream, but who knows? We're in a different era, so who knows?
Remember the ones where they used to be giving a speech and they had the big long stick with the hook on the end and just drag him off. That's the only way we do him.
It's the only way. Right, 2 more stories, and one fits into what we've just been discussing, and this is the outcome of zero freedom of speech, and there's been other outcomes of this story as well, but just simply the original story is interesting. Police arrest parents who complained in school WhatsApp group. The couple were detained in front of their daughter and kept in a cell for 8 hours over their messages on the app, as well as emails sent to the school. I am so grateful that there is no crime any longer in the UK for these police to actually investigate whenever they can check WhatsApp groups. Is this the height of the danger that we face, the police are addressing in the UK? But what were your thoughts when you saw this?
Do you know what I mean? I think, first of all, we've got to know what they complained about. But the way things are at the moment is that the way the government, the councils, the police, I mean, they're all a corporation. They're all up each other's backsides, to be fair, be honest about it. It's like they expect the general public to just put up with whatever they put out. So if a school puts rules and regulations down, you're allowed to question them, because that's it. Your child comes to the school, these are the rules, these are the regulations. If something happens to your child and you're not happy with it, you're automatically going to complain because you're interested in your own child's welfare, same as any other parent within the country. So basically, they're stopping that from happening because somebody's complained. We don't know what they've complained about. It might be minor, it might be serious. But for the police to turn up and arrest them because they've made a complaint about their child's welfare or something that's happened within the school, that's just ridiculous. It's like life is turning into a ridiculous entity. It's like a ridiculous TV show that we're all observing until sense and sensibility prevail within the next year or so. It's just bonkers. And let me just say the same again. Male and female, bollocks. It's all stupid. I don't understand any of it. I mean, if the police turned up at my door for complaining to the school my kids went to about something that had happened and wanted to arrest me, I would be mind blown. So, excuse me, what? Are you mad?
It's crazy.
Come on.
Here, I want to end on a political, and it'd be good to get your thoughts as someone not really engrossed in the political side. And this is the local elections coming up, and this was something that Nigel Farage, Reform UK, put out, and it'd be good to get your thoughts on this. So here's this just short clip.
So the local elections on May the 1st are happening. We now know how many candidates are being fielded by each party, and you can see here the Labour Party 1,540. You can see the Tories 1,594. Leading with 1,630 candidates is Reform UK. The first time in modern history a party other than Labour and the Conservatives have fielded the most candidates. I tell you what, we're in the game and we're in it.
Now I've got all issues with Farage, Nigel. I don't think he's pulled back on a lot of issues, but the flip side is that is quite phenomenal for a new party to have more candidates than the governing party. And with the local elections coming up, some being cancelled, some have not, all of that. But what are your thoughts? How do you see that from kind of looking outside the political bubble?
I mean, you and I have both met Nigel Farage a few times. I know what kind of a person he is. Whenever I see any interviews regarding Nigel Farage over the last 6 to 8 months, there's never really any conversation or subject matter regarding what he's actually going to do to benefit the country, to get us out of this shithole that we're in, to improve our lifestyle. There's never, all he ever talks about is the fact that a party, an independent party that is outside of the ranks, has come in and split Labour and Conservative straight through the middle, and nobody's done that in decades. To be fair, he's the leader of the party, that's fine, but he never talks about anything else. Now, when you resort back to somebody like Rupert Lowe, he was the one person within that party that actually sat down and talked about issues, situations, things he was going to resolve, and how he was going to resolve them. For me, that's the leader. Nigel is just the front man of this. I don't even know what to call it. It's a shit show, really. It's like, I mean, and everybody knows that party is really just the Conservative 2.0. And as soon as they get in, doesn't matter whether it's a different name or not, it's all going to be back to the way it was before. Rupert Lowe is the first politician in a while that I've actually listened to and thought he's quite sincere within what he says. And there's only 2 or 3 other politicians out there saying the similar kind of things as well. And I think it's those type of people we need to be listening to, not the ones that have got the funding and the marketing bandwagon behind them at the moment. And that's exactly what Farage is. I wouldn't trust Farage as far as I could throw him. So for him to be leading the country, it's like swapping one dickhead for another. You know what I mean? That's the way it is.
It's fascinating for me to hear your thoughts, because I haven't really discussed this before. So it is fascinating, and I'll not jump in with my thoughts. I was just intrigued to ask you, because I know you're not necessarily a political animal, where I've been in that world. So I wanted to have your thoughts, and that's intriguing. I 100% agree. I didn't know whether I would agree or not with what you said, but yeah, that's bang on the money. That's what I would have said.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think as soon as people start understanding that these parties are never going to change anything, voting is never going to change anything. The whole thing needs to be disabled, broken down, and started again. They're all corrupt. They're all like mafias. They're not, they're all out for themselves. They're all backhanders. I mean, there was that Asian lady the other day that came out as part of the Labour Party that's getting illegal immigrants in through the back door. She's done thousands of them, and she's earned thousands from it, None of them are in it for the right reasons. I mean, I'm sure there's a small percentage. I'll give them 10% maybe, if that. But they're all corrupt. They're all in it together. Both parties, they're both having drinks together in same bars. They're all, I have no time for any of it, because I see it for what it really is. And having spoken to these people in real life, also you get to gauge the type of person they are, their personalities. So a lot of them are dodgy anyway,
I agree. Let's leave it. Matt, always love you coming on. The most wide awake person in the music industry. Well, I'll let you fight that out with Fred and Richard maybe for who actually is the most wide awake. But I love having you on. Always good hanging out with you. And thanks so much for giving us your time today.
Bless you. It's good to see you, my friend. Really good to see you. Take care, man.